Hi, welcome to covalent naming. This will be much simpler than ionic naming, far less rules, less things to follow. Most students do much better on this than the ionic portion. So, we've got molecular compounds. This uses prefixes. That does require that you do memorize these prefixes for these number of atoms. Now, there's some other guidelines. The less electronegative goes first. So that means when we think of less electronegative, furthest from fluorine. Okay. It gets a prefix if it has more than one atom in the formula. I always go back to my two things that you probably know, CO2 and CO. Carbon dioxide, see how there's only one of those? You don't say monocarbon, you just say carbon. And carbon monoxide, CO. The first one does not get a prefix if there's only one. However, you see, no matter what, the second one always does. Now, the ending of this is always IDE. That's also very handy. Now, keep in mind, there are a few ionic compounds that end in IDE that are ionic and not covalent. Something like hydroxide and cyanide both end in those. And something like cadmium 4 sulfide also end in IDE. However, molecular compounds always end in IDE. The O or A gets dropped at the end of a prefix when the element starts with a vowel. This is in the case of oxides. You see something like tetraoxide becomes tetroxide. Pentaoxide becomes pentoxide. I think it just has to do with more of the idea of how it's said, like comfortability. But again, if you do put that O or A, you will be incorrect. Again, in writing the formula, to go from the name to the formula, the prefixes tell you how many of each. So if you really know the prefixes, it makes it pretty simple to go from the name to the compound. So let's take a look at that in action. So for example, we've got our 5 name to formulas. Phosphorus is phosphorus. Trichloride. So chloride, how many? 3, because that's what tri is. We've got hydrogen. I've got di of those. That means 2. Mono, or mon, with an oxide means 1 oxygen. Yes, water should be dihydrogen monoxide. Now you know why we call it water. Because no one wants to say, oh man, I could really go for some dihydrogen monoxide right now after that run. Water seems a little easier. Same for the number 3, oxygen. Just one of those because you don't need to have the mono there. Fluoride, di, so 2. Sulfur, oxide, tri, sulfur, fluoride, hexa. When you think of going from formula to name, you've got your phosphorus, spelling counts, you have a periodic table in front of you, use it. Pentachloride. The A stays there because C is not a vowel. We've got tri-nitrogen. Oops. And then pentoxide. We do drop the A there because O is a vowel. Tetra, sulfur, octoxide. Then we have triselenium. Oh, nope, that's wrong. Trisilicon. Seleniide. I feel like I did that wrong. Let's check my spelling. Yep, knew it. Selenide. Selenide. Again. Let's try that again. Selenide. Use your periodic table. That's what I'm doing, and I'm way older than you. And then, of course, our friend carbon monoxide. Answer these in Edpuzzle, and I'll evaluate them and let you know. So we'll go over those in class.